Ducati and electric motorcycles. Well, something rather unusual, we would think. Since 2019 there is the MotoE implemented, that is the electric version of the well-known MotoGP series. This year Ducati presented the all-new V21L prototype, and this might be Ducati's first electric superbike. The previously used TT0 was well dominated by producers like Honda, who worked together with Mugen on their bike, especially seen on the Isle of Man. In many ways, Ducati's MotoE project is the opposite of all the electric motorcycle projects that we have seen before. Conventional motorcycle producers have just recently started to invest into electric motorcycles as to unclear political and legislative framework with clear information. Only few companies invested beyond electric scooters. KTM have the Freeride, an electric enduro machine, and Honda worked with Mugen as mentioned. A few others, such as Energica, are engineering startups producing electric vehicles with strong automotive industry links. So when Energica won the first contract to produce the MotoE racer, they were competing against other specialist electric motorcycle manufacturers. All had the same philosophy, to take their existing products and turn it into a race bike. The Energica Ego Corsa became the MotoE bike when the series first started in 2019, basically the electric bike version of superstock spec machines, production bikes which have been turned into racing machines by upgrading existing components to racing spec. At the technical presentation of their MotoE machine, the contrast between what has gone before and Ducati's approach couldn't be greater. Presented in a spectacular location, just outside of Medina, accompanied by a famous chef that is passionate about motorcycles, especially Ducatis. That was just the beginning. It became clear just how much of an advantage a manufacturer like Ducati has when approaching a project like building a MotoE machine. With a solid financial basis and a dedicated racing department, they have the luxury of building a prototype creating specifically for MotoE, to meet the requirements set out by Dorna, rather than adapting an existing road bike to transform it into a racing machine. Though with 14 rider and 17 manufacturer titles in World Superbikes, this is something they have also proved themselves to be eminently capable of. Ducati with Ducati Corse is part of the Audi group. They also have a deep well of knowledge of electric vehicles to fall back on. Not to mention their sport car brands Porsche and Lamborghini, that both are familiar with electric high-performance vehicles. They have a ready pool of expertise to tap, to help them build the V21L prototype, which will be the official motorcycle for the MotoE series from 2023. Not to forget they have a very rich experience building and designing successful racing motorcycles, and a deep understanding of exactly how to make a motorcycle go as fast as possible around a racetrack. The V21L, Ducati's MotoE bike, is a prototype built from the ground up, going through intense tests and learning. Keeping in mind to have a perfect running machine that could be even transferred further. The design process of the V21L reflects this idea. At the start of the project, Ducati set up a collaboration between their racing department, Ducati Corse, and Ducati's R&D department. Ducati Corse provided aerodynamics and vehicle dynamics simulation, and developed the ECU software strategies, including power delivery, torque maps, and engine braking. They were able to use the resources and knowledge of Volkswagen's Battery Research Center at their plant in Salzgitter, Germany, and had a lot of assistance from both Porsche and Lamborghini, who are developing high-performance electric sports cars. There are two main criteria for the Ducati MotoE bike. It needed to weigh less than 237 kilograms, and it needed to be capable of completing race distance, which is generally between 7 and 10 laps, depending on the circuit. For reference, the current Energica Ego Corsa MotoE bike weighs around 247 kilograms, about 15 kilograms lighter than the first version of the bike. Ducati had to decide whether to look into weight saving or performance. A bigger battery would have meant more weight. Longer distance that can be reached. More weight could have had an impact on performance. Ducati's success in MotoGP made them focus on weight versus power. The result was the V21L MotoE had a weight of 225 kilograms. A current MotoGP bike is at about 157 kilograms, and to compare, the wet weight of a Ducati Panigale V4S is 195.5 kg. Certainly, plus the petrol of around 17 liters. Ducati built a carbon fiber battery pack and made it to serve as a stressed member of the frame. It has an 18 kilowatt-hour battery with a weight of 110 kilograms. The motor that was selected weighs 21 kilograms in total. It runs up to 18,000 RPM and produces 110 kilowatts or 150 horsepower at 140 Newton meters of torque. Ducati claimed the bike is capable of reaching 275 kilometers per hour down the front straight at Mugello. Forks are Öhlins NPX 2530, the same units found on Ducati's Superleggera, from whence the Öhlins TTX 36 rear shock also hails. Brake calipers are from Brembo, GP4RRM4 on the front and P34 on the rear. Overall, though, it is an impressive project. The bike looks fantastic, as you might expect from a Ducati, especially one from the computers of the Centro-style Ducati. It looks like a race bike, both on photo and in the flesh, and it is only once you notice the lack of an exhaust that you realize it is an electric bike. The clever part of the bike design is Ducati's understanding that function can follow form. It is obvious that the bike was designed first, and the engineers were given the task of fitting the batteries and other components into the space behind the fairing and under the tank. The V21L MotoE bike is Ducati's way of exploring electric bikes, developing them further, and who knows when we might be forced to switch from combustion engines to a more environmental-friendly form of engine. The future will show if the well-known combustion engine dies out, if all will be electric or hydrogen or. Welcome to the future. Leave me down a comment on this video. Give me a like. And hit the subscribe button to support my channel. See you back soon for more.